Hey there, good folks. Dr. Charlie Brown here. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Today's Charlie Chats is about how every new level requires a different version of you and how to stand in your truth doing that in each new level. Let's take our 3 deep gathering and collecting and connecting breaths together, and then we'll jump into that topic. Ready? Let's try 3 more. I don't feel gathered. Let's try that again. Slower this time. Let's breathe all the way into the bottom of our bellies. And as you release, connect a cord down into the earth. That's better. Breathe up from the earth into your belly. And again, breathe back down into the earth. One more time, breathe up from your earth. And connect back down into the earth. So, as you can see behind me, that way behind me, the camera is backwards. Things are in a little bit of disarray in my space. That door came off this morning, and I was like, oh, all right. So, every new version of your life requires a different version of you. And you, in this case, is a collective term where you and the people and things and situations and places around you and surrounding you. For me, we can chart a lot of my course academically. I was in school for a long time, as people who have doctorates are. And each level brought me different people, different situations. In undergrad, I have a business degree for undergrad with a minor in African American studies. And my business school felt like a cult. And I also made a lot of really good friends in college. And for the first time in my life, I was kind of the cool kid coming from high school where I was the militant, angry Black girl. So it was a really drastic change for me going from high school to college. Took some years off after college. And when I went back to grad school, my master's degree is in women's spirituality. And I describe that as looking at women's traditions, women's spiritual traditions, including religion throughout history, throughout the world, and finding my place along that continuum. And another way I describe that is I got a master's degree in my own emotional awareness, which is not for the faint of heart. Then my doctoral program, my doctorate is in integral and transpersonal psychology, and that is the connection and integration between mind, body, spirit, and environment. I talk about that elsewhere, but really in my path, you can chart my different levels in an academic way. And coming out of my doctoral program, suddenly, many of the people who had been there through much of this journey were simply no longer there. And in a lot of ways, those relationships changed, but I changed, really. And when you are the one doing the changing, it's important to stand in your truth. Your truth is not going to make other people comfortable necessarily. And in fact, your truth may make people extremely uncomfortable to the point where they drop out of your life. And that's been difficult for the last couple of years, to say the least, where people I could once turn to and count on and seek out their advice and whatever simply weren't there anymore. Now, that has also opened up space for new and different people to show up and for other people to step up in a way, who had been here previously, to step up in a way that they had not. But it is interesting, and it's really easy to say. We see all these memes that talk about, if this person isn't doing this thing for you, or isn't supporting, isn't showing up for you in this way, and in a supportive way, and just let them go and cut off toxic relationships and all of that. And it's easy to say, it's easy to make a meme out of that. And it is increasingly more difficult to do when these have been people who have been in your circle and in your corner for a very long time. And it's still important to stand in your truth. Sometimes we don't know what our truth is when we're emerging into a new level. Sometimes we don't know what our truth is right at the moment. And I would encourage you at that point to be still and listen. The universe, God, deity, goddess, however you call that, maybe nature, it gives you information all the time, if only we were to listen. And it gives you clues and it gives you connections. I don't believe in coincidences. I often come into people's lives at a point where they sometimes think they're crazy. They've been having episodes, they've been having visions, they've been hearing voices, and I often show up in someone's life at that precise moment, and I can offer understanding. I can see you. I can say, oh, you're not crazy. I often offer language. Here's what this thing is called. Here's what it looks like. Here's some resources. And sometimes those people who are sticky and we stick with each other for a little while and do a particular part of our journey together. And sometimes it's just a one and done meeting. I might meet someone in a coffee shop or in a grocery store or at a tire shop or something like that, where we connect in that way. And for me, I'm finding it easier with practice to continue standing in my truth, even when, as far as people go, that makes relationships of all kinds uncomfortable. And uncomfortable enough to let it go. Uncomfortable enough to say, I can't do this. I can't be in this relationship in this way anymore. I'm not absolving you of your part of the responsibility, as I don't absolve myself of my part of the responsibility of being in these relationships and showing up for them. And when I stand in my truth, I know that it means that the relationship has to change or needs to change or is changing and shifting. And sometimes shifting means moving away from. And so find yourself in those moments and find your rootedness. The breath we did at the beginning, the second time, where I sent us into the ground, try that. Talk to trees. Trees are tremendous. They have a tremendous root system, first of all, but they're also sentient beings. They are aware of your presence when you are with them. Say hello. Trees love it when you say hello to them because so few people do. When I go out for a walk, I just sort of shout a hello. Not shout. You can whisper. The trees can hear you. Hello, trees, and that kind of reverberates. I live in a wooded neighborhood, so that kind of reverberates throughout the whole neighborhood. But really standing in your truth and finding your truth and listening for your truth when you can't hear, feel, see it. And knowing that it's okay to be still in that moment of figuring out your truth in order for you to recognize that every new level of your life will require a different version of you. And ideally, it's a version that has learned something from the previous version, perhaps a lot, perhaps a little. And it's important. It's okay to not know, I would say. It's okay to not know in this moment what that is. Look at your feeling state. Examine what feels good. If you go to a job you hate, but you're really maybe creative in some other way, find some time to do that other thing and see if you can grow that in a way that works for you. And that could be a lot of things. That's a whole other talk that could go on for a long time. I'm already running long on this because it's so important. It's so important for you to understand that your truth is not someone else's truth, and this version of your life, the way that you have connected with it and set it up, is going to require you to be a specific version of yourself that has never been required of you before. So really taking time to parse that out if you can, and work through some of that. All right, y'all, this is a long Charli Chats, but there was a lot to that. Trying to distill it sometimes doesn't work. Trying to distill it down to 5 minutes rather sometimes doesn't work. So if you are interested in more conversations like this, there are several ways to find me on my website, drcharliebrown.com, on Facebook, /Dr. Charli Brown, and now on Instagram. I'm trying Instagram. I'm kind of already over it. At Dr. Charli Brown there as well. So I look forward to connecting and playing with you in the near future. And until that time, until we meet again, I want you to take great care.